Unrivaled League needs Caitlin Clark, and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. But is it?
To understand the scale of what this startup league is attempting, insiders say you have to look at the template they're following. Their approach reportedly mirrors the strategy used when Lionel Messi was recruited by Inter Miami CF in 2023. That landmark signing changed expectations for how teams and leagues structure superstar deals. It wasn't just about salary, it was about partnership. Executives realized that for a generational figure, traditional paychecks alone are rarely persuasive enough. Instead, they designed a package blending financial guarantees with long-term revenue opportunities. When Miami pursued Messi, they understood that convincing a global legend required creativity. The club and its partners assembled a proposal that reportedly included ownership considerations, performance incentives, and commercial revenue participation. One of the most widely discussed elements involved collaboration with Apple, which agreed to share a portion of subscription revenue tied to league broadcasts. That arrangement transformed the contract from a simple employment agreement into a business partnership where the player's success directly increased his earnings. Sources say the new women's league wants to replicate that philosophy. Their reasoning is that if a single athlete can elevate ticket sales, viewership, sponsorship interest, and global awareness, then that athlete should be compensated not just as a performer but as a co-architect of the league's growth. It's a model rooted in modern sports economics, where star power functions almost like venture capital, drawing attention, investment, and credibility simultaneously. The comparison isn't meant to suggest identical numbers or identical fame levels. Instead, it highlights a structural shift in how leagues value transformative talent. Decision-makers believe that attaching their brand to a player with massive reach can accelerate recognition faster than any advertising campaign ever could. From their perspective, signing Clark would be equivalent to launching with built-in global marketing. Analysts note that this strategy reflects a broader trend across professional sports. Organizations increasingly recognize that athletes are not just participants but media platforms in their own right. With millions of followers and constant digital visibility, a single player can influence public interest more effectively than traditional promotion. That reality is pushing leagues to rethink compensation structures, especially when trying to compete for attention in a crowded entertainment marketplace. If the plan succeeds, it could establish a new blueprint for future signings. Instead of simply negotiating salaries, leagues may begin negotiating partnerships, offering athletes stakes in growth rather than fixed wages. And if that shift takes hold, the ripple effects could extend far beyond one league or one player, altering the financial landscape for elite athletes across multiple sports.
To me, is another reason why Caitlin Clark needs to flee the WNBA. It's a political organization. They're not serious about business. That they don't care about traditional sports fans. It's a little cult that puts out little political statements and everybody wears vote t-shirts. They don't care about making money. They don't care really about building up this league and making it profitable. They're a charity. She needs to flee the WNBA and start her own league in this
Side Club. It has just been reported today that Caitlin Clark could receive a Lionel Messi-like offer to play an unrivaled startup 3-on-3 league.
The proposed competition is being designed with an unusually player-centric structure. Unlike many traditional leagues where salaries are fixed within rigid tiers, this organization plans to implement a sliding-scale compensation system. Under that model, athletes with greater visibility, stronger fan engagement, or larger social followings would receive proportionally higher earnings. The goal is to align pay directly with the attention each player brings to the league. This approach reflects a modern understanding of sports economics. In today's digital era, audience engagement can be measured instantly through viewership metrics, online interactions, and merchandise sales. League architects believe those metrics should influence compensation, rewarding players who actively grow the brand. Rather than treating all contracts identically, they want flexibility to recognize individual impact. The project is being co-founded by WNBA stars Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, both of whom have publicly advocated for higher pay and expanded opportunities for women's players. Their involvement signals that the league isn't simply an outside business venture, it's partially driven by athletes seeking new financial models for their profession. That athlete-led leadership has attracted attention from agents and players around the world. Reports indicate that dozens of elite competitors have already expressed interest, including established names such as Angel Reese. The league is expected to feature a limited roster pool, meaning each participant would receive significant playing time and visibility. Organizers believe that scarcity, fewer teams, fewer players, will increase demand and make every game feel like a marquee matchup. One of the most appealing elements for recruits is equity. All inaugural season participants are expected to receive some form of ownership stake, giving them a direct financial interest in the league's success. If revenues grow over time, those stakes could become extremely valuable. That structure transforms players from employees into partners, aligning their incentives with the organization's long-term goals. The schedule is also designed for convenience. Instead of overlapping heavily with existing commitments, the season would run for a short winter window in a warm weather location, allowing athletes to compete without conflicting with other professional obligations. This flexibility could make participation especially attractive for stars who already play in established leagues but want additional income opportunities during off months. For many observers, the model represents a bold experiment. If successful, it could demonstrate that athlete-driven leagues can thrive financially while offering players unprecedented control over their careers. And if that experiment works, it might inspire similar ventures in other sports, gradually reshaping how professional competitions are structured worldwide.
Has 26 of their 30 players already, and they have been announcing players for the past 3 months. And there has been speculation throughout the entire WNBA season if Caitlin Clark would be joining Unrivaled in the offseason. Caitlin Clark is needed for this league. It should be one of their main goals is to get her to play in the league no matter what that costs, no matter what.
Behind closed doors, the numbers reportedly being explored are drawing intense interest across the sports business world. Insiders claim the Startup League is considering a compensation framework for Clark that could include revenue sharing, equity participation, and a short season salary approaching $1 million for less than 3 months of competition. For context, that level of pay for such a brief schedule would be unprecedented in women's professional basketball history and would instantly set a new benchmark for alternative league earnings. Part of the league's confidence comes from independent marketability rankings. A recent global list of the world's most marketable athletes placed Clark near the very top tier of international sports personalities, even ranking her above several established global icons. That kind of recognition is significant because marketability rankings evaluate more than performance, they measure endorsement appeal, audience reach, brand alignment, and cross-platform visibility. In other words, they estimate how much commercial value an athlete can generate simply by being associated with a product or event. Executives believe that value translates directly into revenue potential for a new league. If advertisers know a widely recognized star will appear in games, they're more willing to commit sponsorship dollars early. If broadcasters know audiences will tune in specifically to watch that player, they're more likely to pay for rights deals. This cascading effect is why leagues sometimes invest heavily in one athlete. They expect that investment to multiply through secondary income streams. Comparisons with NBA salaries highlight the scale difference between men's and women's leagues. Stars like LeBron James or Stephen Curry earn tens of millions annually from team contracts alone. Against those figures, $1 million short-season salary might seem modest. But within the context of women's professional basketball, it represents a dramatic leap forward and signals a willingness by investors to accelerate financial growth rather than wait for gradual increases. Of course, salary is only part of the equation. Industry analysts point out that endorsement income often surpasses on-court pay for high-profile athletes. Clark already has a major sponsorship portfolio, including a long-term deal with Nike, along with partnerships involving major national brands. Those agreements demonstrate that corporations view her as a powerful marketing vehicle capable of connecting with diverse audiences. For the new league, that commercial appeal is the main attraction. They aren't simply offering money to secure a player, they're offering a platform where both sides could profit from shared growth. If she accepts, the partnership could become one of the most innovative compensation structures ever attempted in women's sports, blending salary, branding, and ownership into a single comprehensive package.
Who is one of the founders of Unrivaled, had this to say about Caitlin Clark. She said, "It's just so crazy because the growth that Caitlin has brought to the game, the sheer amount of money that she's making these teams, people are having to move their venues when she comes to play, and she's getting paid like $75,000 a year. She should be one of the top paid players in the world just for the sheer numbers that she's bringing." And I'm glad that a WNBA player is finally saying this out loud, admitting to it, because it has been so clear for so many people the Caitlin Clark effect that she has had on the
Players across professional sports often receive special incentives, exclusive endorsements, and tailored contract structures when leagues believe they can transform visibility and revenue. That's exactly the situation unfolding around Caitlin Clark right now. Reports suggest that a new startup competition, the Elite Women's Basketball League, is preparing a historic recruitment strategy designed specifically to secure her participation in its debut season. This is not being framed as a routine signing or standard contract negotiation. Insiders describe it as a recruitment campaign modeled after the type of blockbuster deals usually reserved for global icons rather than early career athletes. According to those familiar with the discussions, league executives want Clark to become the face of their entire brand identity. Their vision is to build a fast-paced, globally marketed 3-on-3 format that emphasizes pace, scoring, and highlight-driven entertainment. For that concept to succeed instantly, they believe they need a recognizable superstar capable of drawing casual viewers who might not normally follow women's basketball. In their eyes, Clark is the ideal candidate because she already commands massive television audiences, social media engagement, and merchandise demand. What makes this pursuit remarkable is the scale of ambition. Sources indicate the league is not simply offering salary. They are exploring a multi-layered package that could include marketing bonuses, brand equity incentives, revenue participation, and possibly even ownership stakes. The logic is straightforward: if she becomes the central attraction, she should share directly in the league's growth. That philosophy mirrors how emerging sports organizations sometimes structure deals when they want a single athlete to serve as both competitor and commercial catalyst. Executives reportedly believe her involvement would instantly legitimize the new league in the eyes of sponsors, broadcasters, and international investors. Instead of slowly building an audience over several seasons, they hope to launch with immediate credibility. In business terms, they are trying to compress a decade of brand development into a single opening year. Their strategy hinges on the assumption that Clark's presence would guarantee headlines, sell tickets before the first game is played, and generate viral highlights capable of traveling worldwide within minutes. This type of approach is rare in women's sports history, not because athletes lack star power, but because leagues have traditionally been cautious about large upfront financial risks. Yet the market landscape has changed dramatically. Streaming platforms, global sponsorships, and social media distribution have made it possible for new competitions to grow rapidly if they secure the right centerpiece personality. That's why insiders say league officials are treating this recruitment not as a gamble but as a calculated investment. Ultimately, the message behind the offer is clear: they don't just want a player, they want a phenomenon. And if their proposal matches expectations, it could redefine what top female athletes are worth on the open market, setting a precedent that reshapes contract negotiations across the sport for years to come.
Clark should join Unrivaled. I'm not so sure. I think that the money needs to be high. It needs to be in the millions. It needs to be at least what Cube offered her for the big three at minimum. And even with that, Caitlin Clark doesn't need any money. She has plenty of endorsement deals. I think she is totally fine. And I think for her body and for her mental health, it might not.
One statistic often cited in discussions about Clark's value is television visibility. Analysts note that she has become one of the most watched athletes on broadcast sports in recent years, drawing comparisons to legendary attention magnets like Tiger Woods during his peak popularity. That comparison isn't about identical achievements, it's about the ability to attract viewers who might not otherwise watch the sport. Networks prize that quality because it expands audiences beyond traditional fan bases. Marketability rankings reinforce this perception. Being listed among the world's most commercially appealing athletes means brands see strong potential return on investment when partnering with her. Companies want ambassadors who can represent their products across multiple demographics, and Clark's reach spans age groups, regions, and levels of sports fandom. That versatility makes her especially valuable to advertisers seeking broad exposure. The Startup League's leadership understands this dynamic clearly. They believe that signing her would instantly elevate their credibility in negotiations with sponsors and broadcasters. Instead of pitching an unknown product, they could promote a competition anchored by a widely recognized figure. That difference could determine whether a new league struggles for attention or launches with immediate momentum. Another reason her marketability matters is timing. Women's sports are experiencing a surge in global interest, with attendance and viewership rising across multiple disciplines. Investors are eager to capitalize on that trend, and securing a prominent star could help them ride the wave rather than chase it. From their perspective, signing Clark would signal confidence that women's basketball is entering a new commercial era. Agents and industry executives also note that her negotiating power has grown rapidly. Many athletes spend years building leverage before commanding major offers, but her rapid ascent has accelerated that timeline dramatically. After only a short professional career, she already has the influence to attract competing bids from different leagues. That level of demand is rare and gives her unusual control over her professional choices. Ultimately, marketability isn't just about popularity, it's about economic impact. The more attention an athlete generates, the more revenue opportunities emerge for everyone involved. That's why the pursuit of Clark has become so intense. For the new league, landing her wouldn't simply be a signing, it would be a statement that they intend to compete on the biggest stage from day one.